everybody, and for today's DIY project we are going to be replacing this old rotten window well retaining wall, and using 6" by 6" wooden timbers we are going to recreate the same wall in the same spot. So we're going to have two short walls that are both 8 foot long, and our long wall is going to be 16 feet long. We are going to do this using several 6" by 6" 8 foot timbers that are pressure treated for ground contact, 3/8" galvanized spikes, some crushed rock, some rebar for the ground base for each of these ground layers. And what we need to do first is we are going to excavate a 2-foot square around the wall. That gives us a little room to work, gives us a good area to tamp and get level before we start laying timbers. That way when we go to lay timbers we don't have to fight or dig any more than we need to. Another thing worth noting is that this wall that's in here has been here for over 25 years, and one of the things we went back and forth on in this project was what to do for drainage behind the wall, because you don't want water to build up behind your wall. That will definitely shorten the life and the strength of your retaining wall. One of the things we noticed as we were excavating was this wall, there was no gravel or drain pipe used behind the wall. And in most cases you want to make sure you have a good drainage set up behind your wall. But in this case the soil here is all sand, as you can see, and sand is has really good drainage properties on its own, so we did not think we needed a drain pipe or gravel, as the previous wall stood for 25 years in this spot with no drain pipe or gravel. So if you're building in a spot with soil or clay, make sure you put some gravel for drainage and a drain pipe with some contact paper behind the wall as well. Now that we are ready to start putting in the timbers for the new wall, the number one most important thing is that you're starting with a solid base, which you can see us using the tamper there, and that you are level and parallel on your base. You want everything to be square with those in-ground timbers that are going to be buried underneath the ground a little bit, because once those are square and level and you've got your 90-degree angles, you can work off those timbers to build the wall up, and it goes much quicker. What you're going to see is that these 6 ground timbers actually take us all morning. It took us about 2 hours to lay and make sure they were exactly right. And then once we got those done, the rest of the project went fairly quickly, because we were lining all of our timbers up before we spiked them with the timber beneath them, and that allowed us to build a straight, parallel, and right angle wall, which is what we really hope for in this project. Two important things to note as you start building up your layers on this wall is, number one, when you make those cut ends on pressure treated lumber, the exposed end, it's a good idea to just add some wood preservative or a waterproofing material to that. That way you get a little more life out of your wall, as you can see me doing there. Another thing to think about is how many spikes you want to put in each of those timbers. We decided to go with 3, one on each end and one in the middle. For the shorter timbers we didn't necessarily use 3 spikes, only 2 if they were anywhere from 2 to 3 feet in length. And the important part of that is when you drive those spikes in a lower section, make sure you mark them somewhere on the wall with a pencil. That way you're not trying to drive the spikes of the upper sections right on top of your previous spikes. So the pieces of timber that you see us laying perpendicular to the wall and actually into the backfill of the wall, those are what we call dead men, and those are used periodically throughout this build to create stabilization for the wall. Typically you want your dead men to be anywhere from 4 to 5 feet long. We are actually going to have 5 different dead men on this wall, and you don't always need that many, but we had some trim pieces or some cut ends that we wanted to utilize, so we put a 2-foot dead men on the bottom just because we had it and didn't want to waste any of our wood. We have 2 4-foot dead men that run parallel with the concrete foundation of the house, and then 2 4-foot dead men that come out the back of the wall into the fill that you see right now that create stabilization in that 5th layer. There you have it, guys. That was our rebuild of an old rotten retaining wall. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned a few things like we did. And now all that's left to do is to fill the planter box with topsoil and plants and level out the ground around the wall and get some grass growing.